everybody. Show me what it's like to dream. Hey, go, you the best. Hey, say it with the chest. Hey, yeah, wear them high, side to side. Let them know we gon' rise, we gon' shine. Honey, you the fun for me. Hey, I know you're my therapy. Hey, yeah, wear them high, side to side. Let them know we gon' rise, we gon' shine. Hey, honey, you the fun. Check.
I'm so ghetto, like. Ready? Oh, it's hot out here. Okay. Hey, it's hot out here, ain't it? All right, we are going to get started. Thank you all for your patience. The reason we are here today is that we are here on July 8th, 2021. Tomorrow is July 9th, 2021, the anniversary of my son Rodney Armstrong. I reached out to my mother's sisters to join me in an event to bring power to our voices, to stop the violence in this community and start the healing. So with that, I'm going to kick it off to Sheila Stacy. That's going to tell us a little bit about what Moms is and what Nashville Peacemakers is, and then she will begin to tell her story. All the mothers that are going to join us today are going to be telling and sharing their stories, and at the end of the event, we're going to open up the mic for any mothers that are in our audience that want to join us on this platform and use their power to share their story, their voices to share their children's names. And at the end, we'll take questions from the press.
Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And I do apologize for the delay. I was at the emergency room. I was sick and I didn't know it, but I'm good now. My name is Stacy, and I have been a part of Mothers Over Murder since 2015. I lost my son, D'Anthony Hall, in 2014. Mothers Over Murder is a nonprofit support action group. It falls under the umbrella of Nashville Peacemakers. That is also a nonprofit organization that resides in Nashville, Tennessee. Mothers Over Murder started in 2008. Our CEO, Clemmy Greenlee, lost her son to violence. He was shot. She started getting phone calls of mothers wanting to talk about how they're feeling. After that, they was just meeting in her living room, and it just became more and more and more people, and here we are today, unfortunately. As I stated, in 2014, I lost my son. I've been with Mothers Over Murder since 2015. It is a support action group again. It has helped me learn coping techniques, because you will never get over the loss of losing a child. But it helped us get through day to day. We learned techniques to get through day-to-day actions, to be able to get up, because as we all know, if you have kids, you'll think if you lose your child, there's nothing else that you can do. But with Mothers Over Murder, I learned, because I got up every day after December the 2nd of 2014. I got up every day. I've been going to work. I'm a part of a social club And I want to thank my social club brother and sister for coming and help us today, and everyone else that came today. We're going to start with mothers telling their story, and that was basically my story. I lost my son in 2014. He was in a gang called Gangster Disciples. He thought he was with his friends, and they asked him to go riding with him, and they took him to Gallatin, Tennessee. They pulled over so that he can use the restroom, and then they shot him 6 times in the back. It's hard. It's a traumatic experience that we have to deal with for the rest of our lives. And again, Mothers Over Murder have taught coping techniques for us to deal with it. But it's hard. If you're having to deal with someone that lost a child, thank you for dealing with them, because I know we have our days we're good and we're happy, then we have our days we miss our child. And we just want our child back. Unfortunately, a lot of us are experiencing injustice in the system, and you'll hear different stories about that. My story about the injustice is that the person who actually shot and killed my son, pulled the trigger, is out. The person who told him to shoot and kill my son, he got life. It seems a little backwards, don't it? But that's the system. And we all need to come together, stand together, vote, vote, vote. Because we're getting these judges, the DAs, even down to the police departments that are not assisting us in our trials. The first lady I'm going to introduce is Miss Karen. Miss Karen, if you'll come up and formally introduce yourself, since I informally just
That's okay, that's okay, that's okay. I just want to say, first I would like to say thank you. That I am really proud of the courage and the strength that it takes to relive this over and over again. It was in 2014, right here in Murfreesboro, that my grandson, Mikhail Shakir, was a student at MTSU and was murdered in his apartment. 7 years ago today, I stand here in City Hall and I see the same police officer that investigated his murder. I see Larry Flowers, who comes and interviews the family. After so long, it begins to be a cold case. And then Larry shows up to just keep it alive. But I want to leave with these mothers one thing today. And I'm going to be short and sweet. Energy never dies.
wow.
Energy never dies. It transforms. It could transform in a butterfly. It could transform into your nephew, that baby that you're so close to, and you don't know why you're so close to this baby, and you don't understand the connection that you have. You know that umbilical cord that was cut? The other end is out there. It's energy. It transforms. So know that and understand that on this day, your baby's here. Your baby's right here with you. Your baby is right here. And to Rodney's village, we need healing. Love is the highest form, the highest frequency. Love. Love. Love is the only thing that's going to heal us. We can talk about anti-violence. We can talk about the police is not doing this. But until we really value the life of another person and can really love that from the core for who they are, where they are, and how they are, That is the antidote. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Karen. So as she mentioned, Rodney's Village, you see the sign, and you know what? I'm a shrimp. So I'm gonna try my best here. But as you see the banner behind us, Rodney's Village. The name of that, and the target on our audience there is young parents that are age 16 to 21. And the reason why I picked this age range is because I was a teenage parent. Rodney's Village, I was called to move in this direction to develop something in my son's name, because I looked at it not only as my son losing his life in that, but also the young man that took his life. 2 families were impacted that day. The young person that took my son's life was 21 years old. He's a young parent. And so with Rodney's Village, our goal is to stop the violence by cultivating a community so that we can work with those young parents in raising healthy children. So that we start doing something so that we can make these next generations value life, value each other, and resolve conflict appropriately, so they're not picking up guns and using them to carry out their messages. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Susie, who's going to share her story with us.
Susie wants to be introduced. Susie came to Mothers Over Murder a year or two ago, 2 years ago. She was so angry. She scared me. Sorry. She was so angry. She literally scared me. I told Clean, I said, I don't know what y'all gonna do with this lady, but y'all gonna have to handle her. And that's process that is gonna be ongoing, losing a child, the angry stage. And I tell everybody, you know, if Susie Payne is here, we're good. If Susie McClendon is here, we might have a little problem. So who's here? Yay, Susie Payne.
My name is Susie Payne. My son Eric McClendon left the house on December the 7th, 2017 and never returned. He was shot 4 times through the heart in the backseat of a car. The healing stage, I haven't got there because actually the boy who killed my son brags. He loves to brag about killing my child. And the detectives won't do nothing about it. So I'm still with my angry stage, but I'm learning how to cope. So when I'm angry, I call Stacy. And your interview about a cord, I think is my granddaughter.
Wow.
I live my life for her.
Exactly.
That's my baby.
That's right.
And then I had a new grandbaby since Eric's been murdered, and she acts like Eric.
Wow.
Not only am I battling losing my child, my kid's also battling losing another brother to homicide this year. He was also shot in a car at a store. Both kids killed on camera, both murderers still walk. And the district attorney, the judges, and the DAs all think it's okay. I have my angry days where I go look for the boy who killed my son. Sure did. And I ran into him. Today, I was going to go do it today because I was so angry I had to come here with all these mothers to talk about my son that has a 6-year-old daughter. They'll never get to see her daddy again. So I'm still working through my anger stage, also trying to cope stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. As I said at the beginning, there's mothers that have gone through all different types of losses. Some of us have seen justice be served. Some of us are still looking for those individuals. Some of us have gone through the system and have not walked away with the end we desire. But what is the end that we can get? I mean, our child is gone. Our child is not coming back. And as I've been going through this process, I was blessed with a situation where the young man that took my child's life turned himself in. And I was blessed that the detective that was on my case, Detective Presley, stayed in contact with us, and you could see that he held us in his heart. And even as we came towards, we're coming towards the end of our case, we've passed the plea phase and we're into the sentencing phase. Even as we get into this point and as we continue to have those conversations and be transparent, and some of the things that we may hear from the mothers on this stage, they might not sound like what some of us want to hear. But until we all are open and transparent and can see into each other's hearts and what we need to do. As I got led up, the days that led up to this day, there have been talks to me about forgiveness. There have been talks to me about what if there's probation. This is a state where it's an open carry state. We have a permitless open carry state. And it can be unrealistic if we sit here and go back and forth on whether this is a gun issue or a people issue. If both sides are fighting, then nothing happens. We continue to see the increases in murder, in violence year after year. And so at some point, we have to look inside each other's hearts. We have to be that officer and that detective that understands that that mother that is speaking is coming from a place of immense turmoil. Take a moment and walk in her shoes. And we also, as parents, when we have been blessed with those officers and detectives and law enforcement that are doing their due diligence and the best that they can, we recognize the efforts that they put in and let them know, hey, I might not be happy with what is coming out, but I know that you're in this. And so we're going to have to go both ways in addition, because we got to get to these young people. We got to get to them to value their lives so that if we're going to be an open carry state, then we have to be accountable when we do not use our weapons appropriately. And those are, when we're talking about voting, when we're talking about changing laws, those need to be the topics of discussion. What is going to be the accountability when you use that gun inappropriately? And if that sentence or that whatever piece of justice is carried out, is it really done in a manner to rehabilitate? So those are the kind of things that I want you guys to think about as we listen to these mothers speak. And with that, I'm handing it over to you, Sonia.
Thank you, Rocky. I call it Rocky. My name is Sonia McGee, Sonia Anthony McGee, and my story goes like this. On October 11th, October 12th. October 11th is my daughter's birthday, so it's 5 months later. October 12th, 2020, I was visiting Memphis, where my family lives, and I actually went to Memphis to pick my grandson up. He's 8 months old. My son called me and said, Mom, I'm going back to work after the pandemic. He said, can you watch the baby for a while? And of course, grandmothers are like, yeah, I can watch the baby for a while. So I drive to Memphis Saturday and hang out with my family. And on Monday, it was a Monday or Tuesday, whenever October 12th was I went and picked the baby up. My son was like, don't pick the baby up here at the house. So immediately I knew something was going on between me and the mother of the child. So I picked him up at my sister's house, and I was so excited to see the baby. But I did notice that it was a change in her behavior. I just, I thought they were just into it, so I didn't make any big deal of it. So that was like 11:30. So me and my grandbaby, we go do Memphis. We have a fun time. We go hang out, we eat, we go to the park, we do this. I'm getting ready to make my mind up to come back to Nashville with my grandson, and I said, let me go to my sister's house before I go. We sit there for about an hour playing, and my sister was like, girl, go to Nashville before it gets too dark. So I'm getting ready to go, strapping in a new baby, so that's taking me forever. And while I'm outside strapping the baby in, my sister comes out, she says, look, and it was a Facebook post. She said, look at this. I know it's probably nothing. Nobody would ever post this. But the post said, damn, she killed Courtney Anthony. So I'm looking at her and we look at each other like, okay, this can't be real. Nobody would post that. So my instinct says go to his house, and I'm texting and I'm calling and I'm not getting an answer. So we say, let's go. And so we go. Maybe 10 minutes later, not even that long, pulled up on the street, and surely yellow tape was everywhere. I don't know how to explain the feeling that a mother gets when she pulls up to a crime scene and it's her child. I can't explain it. I haven't found the words yet. And the only way I can explain is through tears. But I found this group. Rafi found it through another group. Groups are great. I found it through a group, Serving Souls. How about that? So I met Rafi and she was telling me about her son, and immediately I was like, oh my gosh. Thank you, universe. That's what I said, for getting me some help, because I was so apprehensive about joining groups. I didn't want it to be a political thing about my son's death. I wanted my son's, his life was happy. I wanted it to be something. So I shunned away from groups. I got messages, emails from so many groups. Gun violence here. I'm not against guns. I want everybody to know that. But I'm against gun violence. Okay? And the thing, they said that we would talk about things. So that was my story. How has this loss affected my family? It's a great loss. From the smallest things to my son calling every morning. It's saying, good morning, mother. I don't get to hear that anymore. I don't get to hear, bring me my baby, or let me see the baby, or are you going to come and get the kids? He was a dad. It has affected his sisters and brothers. It's affected his father. How can you explain that? It's affected us. My healing process for the other mothers and grandmothers and everybody else, dads, get into something. Like I said, I shunned away groups for a long time until I had to do something. I had to speak. This is the very first time I've ever spoken about my son's murder. So it was a big deal for me to be able to find my voice, because his voice has been silenced, and he needs somebody to speak to him. And I am that person. So I had to get over myself and get over my fears and say, Courtney, Anthony, I'll speak for you. I'll fight for you. And for all the mothers, do the same. Don't find any shame in it. Yeah, people might think you're crazy. When you, like somebody said, you're in the grocery store and you're checking out and tears start falling out of nowhere, or you're taking a shower, or you're driving down the street, or you're reading your favorite book, or you come across a memory on Facebook, and although it's a happy memory, the tears are gonna fall. So I say to the other mothers, that was another thing. What would I say to other mothers and families and the community? My message for you is forgiveness. Because the person that murdered my son, I loved her, okay?
She was the mother of my grandchild. She was in my home. She hung out with my daughters. You know, she was with my other grandkids. You know, I loved her. And so I didn't know what to say. Like when it happened, I was like, who did what? But anyway, my message would be, forgive. And I have a thing about it. Don't mess with my six-pack. Okay? That was me. I'm coming for you. And the day that this happened on 10/12, when I got across that yellow tape and I got to go to where my son's blood was on the ground, and I had my grandson there, and somebody handed him to me, and I heard the clearest voice in my head that said, forgive her. And I couldn't understand it. Forgive her. And then I looked at my grandson and there was like, forgive her. And it was just like he smiled. So my journey started with forgiveness. Kanisha prayer, I forgive you for killing my son. I forgive you for hurting our family. I forgive you for all of it. And I pray that your soul and I pray that you find forgiveness for yourself. And that is my thing. And the message to the community, forgiveness. We have to heal. You know, we have to, you know, we can't think about what somebody else says. What are you doing? What you do doesn't have anything to do with what anybody else does. Somebody hurts you, and I'm not like Christian-y, like I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. But the turn the other cheek, not so much turn the other cheek, but do what you would want somebody to do to you, okay, to a certain extent. Now we can dissect that another time, but forgiveness is the key, because without that, you won't be able to go to the next level. So let's forgive community, let's heal community together.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We needed to hear those words. Before I get in trouble, two things. The director of Mothers Over Murder is Miss Sheila Clemens Lee. Her son was killed February of 2017 by Officer Lippert of the Nashville Police Department. Charges was never filed on him. Her son was shot in the back. One of our mothers, Miss Vicky Hamrick, her son was shot by Officer Delk in the back. Our district attorney, without consulting with her, Glenn Funk, and I'm not calling him that, but he is, but that is his name for real. The district attorney, Glenn Funk, without consulting with her, agreed or accepted a plea deal, 3 years, for shooting someone's child in the back. So we're gonna keep them in prayer. Sheila was not able to be here. Her husband had a heart transplant Friday. Not heart surgery, a heart transplant. So we're gonna keep them both in our prayers. We look for justice. Like I said, I've been with Mothers Over Murder since 2015. I'm not gonna stand here and act like I'm a big Christian, because I'm not. But we look for justice. The only way that we're gonna find justice is for us to do it, period. We can't continue to look for others to take care of us or our situations if we're not going to do it. What does that mean? We have to vote. We have to take a stand. We have to come out for events like this to let them know that we're not going to have the injustice. And unfortunately, a lot of people will not do anything until they get that knock at the door. And we're sitting here like, we don't want you to have that knock at the door. We don't want you to know how we're feeling. We don't want you to do that. You don't have to lose a child to be part of Mothers Over Murder. We have plenty of women that come to support us that have not lost a child. We also have a youth group called Back to the Basics. That's the girls' youth group. Your kids, they need us. The village, what they say, it take a village to raise a child. Look at what's going on. It's a group, I think she have like 12 girls, where she teach them how to be a woman, how to act as a woman. She have a group of 12 boys called Straight Talk, and it's exactly what it is. Because at the end of the day, we women cannot teach a man how to be a man, okay? So we have people men that come in from all police officers, all steps of life. Done been to jail, done been to prison. They come in and talk to these young fellas and let them know that's not the route that you want to go. So if anybody want to help Sean, come and talk to these young boys, let us know. Anybody want to come help with the young lady, Sheree? Just let us know. Y'all come on in. We'll be happy to have you. Our next person is Miss Trina. You Anderson. I didn't call anybody else last name. Okay. Miss Trina Anderson.
Hello. My story is slightly different. My world was turned upside down on August the 2nd of 2019 when I received a call at 3:50 a.m. And to this very day, I wake up that time every night. And it was a scream, and I still hear that scream in my dreams. I hear that scream when I'm shouting, when I'm singing to Jesus, when I'm at the amusement park. I hear that scream. And I turn my head and I look to see if there's anything that I could do to lift my son up off of that ground. My story is different because I don't know who to forgive. We have not found who is responsible for snatching my grandbaby's father, for snatching my son, for snatching my daughter's brother, my son's brother. We don't know yet. So how that healing process is going to go, I'm not very sure. But I do know and I trust that all this was in God's plan. No matter what we say here today, every last one of these mothers, He used them for a reason. So I ask the mothers, I talk to them all the time, and I tell them, trust God's plan. Because that's going to be our healing process. I've heard, us speak about the officers. I can't say the same. They've been supportive of me. I speak to them every single day. And I thank them for it. I wish that could be everybody's experience, but I can't. I don't have the power to do that. The chief of police, I speak to him. So I don't have the power to say that, but I do ask that my sisters forgive. You cannot determine when this situation is going to overturn. When the police are going to come forward and be responsible for what it is that they're done, that's been done. But I want you to hold on. Just stand firm, because all of this is going to have to be answered for. None of this is ours. This battle is not ours. So we just need to stand firm. He's going to answer your prayers. He's going to answer your prayers. I heard you loud and clear. You don't have to run out there. He's going to bring it to you. Just stand firm. You too. You just stand firm, ladies. He's going to bring it to us. He's going to bring it to us. And we're going to stick together. We're going to be together. When one of us falls, the other one's going to fall. We're going to pick each other up. We're going to ask that the justice system will please put yourself in these ladies' shoes. Make it known and make people be accountable for what it is that they've done.
Right.
We don't have the last say. So even if they don't pay on this end, they're going to pay on the other end.
Right.
So I want you ladies to keep your heads up and just stand firm. Stand firm. I know some of you have lost the trust in the justice system, but it's not about them. Like I said, this battle is not ours. Each one of us was chosen for this
Journey.
Thank you. Each one of us was chosen for this journey. I don't know what my role is yet, because like I said, I haven't met the perpetrator that took my son. I don't know yet. And I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. But I do know that I believe, and I believe that God will give me the forgiveness. And I just ask that the community, with these gun laws and with the different things that's going on, that we put things in perspective. Like everyone has said before me, make sure you get out and vote. When they have questions on the voting ballots, don't skip by them.
Right.
Answer those questions. Because if you skip by them, then that's what will happen. We'll all get skipped by.
Right.
So make sure that you're answering those questions. To Ms. Clemmy and the rest of the ladies, I just want to say thank you for opening your arms to me. They've been a very great support system. I started in another group prior to my son being murdered. I finally got to be able to say that, because that's a hard thing to say. But I started in another group in November of 2018, not knowing that my son was going to be murdered in August of 2019. So I had already been assigned
Right.
to go out and help. So I know what my calling is. I know what my destiny is. It is to help these ladies and to help family members and to be proactive. But it's not through violence. It's through the godly way. And that's what I'm standing for. Thank you.
Okay, our next person up is going to be the father of a murdered son. Mothers Over Murder is not just for women. We have men, because guess what? They hurt too. Guess what? They love their children too. So the first father, the only father that I'm gonna call you up. You look like you're ready to talk. So the first father I'm gonna pull up today is gonna be Mr. Anthony. He is Raphia's husband. Come on up, Mr. Anthony. I want to say this too. He said something at our meeting that stuck in my head to this very day. Until these murders, unfortunately, until these murders start happening at their level. Okay. Okay, you got the rest of it.
I got it. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So here's the thing. There's a lot of things that I could talk about. The biggest thing that I like to address is what's being done. Okay, and guns have been around since the 1800s, maybe even before then. And way back when, somebody felt it was a good idea to give guns to everybody. Then we had legislators say that that's a bad idea. So we're going to regulate who we give guns to. If you're not law enforcement, you don't deserve to carry a gun. You don't need to carry a gun. Then a group of people got together and said, hey, you know what? I think we should all have guns because it's in our constitutional right to bear arms. I'm not against that. Never been against people owning guns. But I've always been against, and I am from the hood. I am from the mud, as they say. The thing that I've always been against is the people who make these laws. They live on high ground. And these laws never affect their high grounds. Why? Because you can't go to their high grounds with a gun. You can come to my grounds, which is down here with everybody else, and you can carry a gun, and you can act uncivilized. But when you go to high ground, that's when, oh no, you can't be out here with this, and that's when the law really takes effect on who can and who can't own a gun. The bill that was just passed, and I'll just flat out say it, I'm not really a political person. I've always considered myself a free thinker, so I'm going to say this freely, and I hope everybody thinks it's free. And yes, I am aware that this is being filmed, but our governor is stupid. You don't give people guns and make people's jobs harder to regulate who has them. You don't take away the laws that are meant to protect people and say, hey, don't care if you have classes, don't care if you have experience, you have the right to own a gun. That's a coward's way of thinking. So am I calling them a coward? Probably. That's a coward's way of thinking because it just makes everybody's job harder. It makes my community harder to live in. Again, when you sit up here on high, you can always look down and say, well, it don't affect me, so I think this is a good idea. Until people like that are forced, mandated as the elected official to live in that community where they're making laws, they're going to continue to push their agenda on people who have no say. And here's the thing. I've heard everybody say, oh, you can vote them out, vote them out, vote them out. You could, but who are you voting for? Because it ain't like the next candidate's any better. A politician is a politician and will be a politician. Their job is to sell BS, and that's what they sell us. And it's unfortunate. It really is. And I'm not saying all politicians don't do good. I'm saying the bulk of them, they sit up here. We're right here. And when our drama starts to come anywhere near close to that. No, we got to change the law. We got to fix this. I've always been a person that says you have to have responsibility for what you say and what you do. I take full responsibility of saying I think this bill that has passed is stupid. I think it's going to make the police job much, much harder. I think the court system is not prepared for this. And I think that there are going to be more murderers that get to walk away because we're offering probation as opposed to prison. I think that if we're going to say that, then I think that rule should apply to where the people who make these laws sit. I feel like they should be allowed, we should be allowed to go to their neighborhoods armed. I think we should be allowed to go to their restaurants armed. Because that's what they're basically saying to us. They're basically saying, hey, we don't care. It don't affect me. Rodney's Village. We're not anti-gun. We're not anti-police. We are about cultivating, stopping it before it starts. Does no good to catch somebody once they're in the system, because it's a harder mindset to change once they're in the system. Our goal is to catch them before they get to the system. There used to be a phrase, each one teach one. That's what we're about. We want to teach them while they're young. We want to show them that there are other options. We want them to understand that for every action, there's a reaction, and for every decision, there's a consequence. Not all consequences are bad, but we want to make sure that they understand that if you decide to do this, be clear, this is going to be the action for your decision. So we're going to take our time out of our lives and make sure that the community is being cultivated. So, thanks.
Thank you.
I'll turn this on.
Okay,
It's on? Oh. I forgot I had my own special mic because I'm a shrimp, so I'm going to finally use it. Thank you, Anthony, for getting the courage to come up here and speak. We've had a lot of talk tonight. We've talked about politics, we've talked about police, we've talked about gun laws, and we've talked about accountability. And when we talk about accountability, we can't just talk about accountability of the individuals that commit a crime. I'm going to start with my story, and I'm going to try to make this as short and as sweet as possible. I'm going to share as much as I can. As I said, I am in the middle of an open case. On July 9th, 2020, I came home from work. I worked about an hour out of town in a small country town, Smithfield. I relocated here from up north. I came here as an engineering manager. And I worked a lot for many years. Probably for the last 20, 25 or so years, I've been working 50, 60 hours a week. But I came home that day, and there were some young people that were spilling out of their cars in my driveway. They were parked in my driveway. Can you believe that? And I gave them this look like, oh, really? And so they quickly jumped in their cars, and they parked in the front of the house, and they proceeded to the backyard. And I went in the house, and I saw that my son was standing in the mirror primping, in my mirror. He had his own bathroom, but he was in my room, in my bathroom. And I asked him, I'm like, why are you in here? He says that your mirror is bigger. Like, why are you asking such a stupid question? But he was happy. He was on his way out to the backyard to spend some time and hang out with his friends. I looked out the window at his friends before I went down to take a quick power nap. I was one of those individuals that I put in 50, 60 hours a week. I got up at 4 o'clock every single morning. I check emails. Some of the individuals I work with were overseas. I might have had a conference call, jump in the shower, go to work, stay in meetings all day long, get off work at 5 o'clock, think I'm getting ready to do something before I get on the road, and I'll try to do some actual work. Finally at 6 o'clock, I'll get it through my head, there ain't no work getting done. I might as well go home. So I went home, take a quick power nap. I was getting ready to go on vacation. My sister was coming to visit. And usually I would tell Rodney if he had friends over when I was coming home, you know, hey, get your company out of here, I don't feel like being bothered. But this day I looked out in the backyard and I was like, they look like they having fun, they good, I'm not even gonna bother them kids. And what happened while I took that quick power nap is still up for dispute. There's the young man's story, and unfortunately it's my son's story, and then there's the truth. The unfortunate part is that the truth is going to be difficult to figure out since my son is dead and he can't be here to tell his son's story. But as I talk about accountability, what I want to say is that I have to be accountable. That my son was also a young man that was in that backyard that had a gun. Although there's no forensic evidence that shows that he used that gun, he had a gun. And the young man that came to his party to spend time with his friends also brought a gun. So both of these two young men who had planned on hanging out with each other and spending time together brought weapons to a party. And they got in an argument. And they had easy access to use those weapons. And now one person is paid with his life. The family has lost a child. I've lost my son. My parents that traveled here for sentencing today all the way from Illinois have lost a grandson. My sister and brother who traveled here from Michigan lost a nephew. My granddaughter, who's not with us right now, has wrote letters to say that she just wants to kill herself. She's 8 years old. She doesn't know what commit suicide means, but she wants to kill herself so she can go be with her uncle. Her friends that's in her class know about the letter. They know how she feels. They know about this young girl who's lost her uncle. My point of saying that is that trauma is not ours alone. We all share that trauma. Y'all don't realize y'all share that trauma. When I tell y'all my story, y'all say, that's unimaginable. I can't imagine what you're going through. Y'all don't even realize y'all share this trauma. And when you keep not understanding that you share this trauma, when you keep hearing these same stories over and over again and you cannot picture yourself in these same situations, what happens is you become desensitized. You become desensitized to violence. And when you become desensitized, your children become desensitized, and they no longer value life. And when we have laws that allow us all to be able to carry weapons, which would be fine if we had be in a society where we had responsible individuals that are not walking around that do not know how to handle their emotions appropriately. We don't. We don't. So we can have the gun side that says that guns don't kill people, people kill people. Okay, but can we fix people overnight? And we can have the people side that says we're going to get all the guns off the street. Is that realistic? Is that really getting ready to happen? Is there going to be a day when there's not going to be any weapons on the street? That don't even make that. That's not going to happen. So until both sides of us gain the strength to come across the aisle, to see ourselves in the other side, to realize that until we come together, whether we wear a badge or we've lost a child, until we can sit down together, and that's what I've been doing with the individuals in my case and the detective in my case during this time, is that I've been working with them to figure out what is going to be a resolution that I can accept. Now we're still not there yet, but my voice is being heard. When we talk about accountability, when we talk about rehabilitation, there's not just laws, there's not just voting that we need to do. We need to be individuals that start finding in ourselves to actually be the individuals that's running for political office, getting involved with campaigns, being out there and using your voice. Yes, voting is important, but as we know that a lot of times our votes might not even be seen. So in order to use your voice, we all have all sorts of media platforms to be able to use those voices. We have children, we have grandchildren, we have people in our class, we have friends that have children. I have a young lady that's sitting in the audience over here, streaming, serving souls, that has been using her organization to be able to cultivate the community by getting rid of the wage gap in between women and men. And I have a young man that just came to stay with me, and she was like, oh, bring him out to my event. Those are the kind of things we gotta do. It's okay to mentor each other. It takes work, it takes time, but if we do not start taking that time to put that work in, then we are going to be continuously saying that same old story. I remember as I woke up to the gunshots and I ran to the backyard and I held my son in that time waiting for the ambulance to come. Thinking, how did I get here? I worked my butt off to provide an environment that I thought that gun violence wouldn't touch. I thought. But it happened right in my, if it wasn't, what do they call it, irony? If it wasn't irony, it happened right in my own backyard. And after they took my son away, and I couldn't go to the hospital. I don't remember if it was the issue was COVID at that time or what the situation was, or if the fact that I was the only witness that was left. I remember the police officers trying to get me to sit in the chair, and I couldn't move from the ground. And I picked up the soil, the dirt. Dirt represents land. Land represents accomplishments. And I watched it pour through my fingers, and I kept saying to myself, and I'm looking at my house and the material in my car and the materialistic things, and said, I achieved all this, and my son still got shot. At that time he hadn't passed, but my son still got shot. And reason why I'm sharing these intimate details is because I need people to stop looking at the shooter as being the gangbanger that's on the corner. I need you to stop looking at the shooter as being that lone mental individual that's shooting up a public school. I need you for just a couple seconds to imagine what it would be like if your children were in the backyard having a party, two of them got into an argument, both of them are adults, they're allowed to carry weapons, and they decided to use them. What could you do differently to prevent that from happening in the future? I don't know all the answers, I don't have all the answers, but my healing, and I call out to other mothers the reason why I brought all these mothers up here is to share their healing stories, is that when you can find some purpose in that healing, it enables you to get up a little easier every day. You wake up, you be like, oh, I could go back to bed. I love to go back to bed. I don't have 4 dreams of my son, so I love going to sleep. I'm like, he might visit me in my sleep. I love going to sleep. But then I remember it's bigger than him and it's bigger than me. There's a lot of work out here that we got to do. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Stacy. Stacy's going to reach out to her moms.
Okay, is there any one of you ladies who have something else that you need to say? You do.
I also wanted to advise that I want to request that if you know anything about my son's situation, it happened on August of 2019, on the 2nd, over in the Villagers. Miss Julie Cox is the detective on the case. So if you know anything, please, the slightest detail that you think might not be important may be what cracks the case. So, my son's name is Terrell Ray.
Anybody else? Okay. Is there any mothers out there that would like to say anything? Fathers, cousins, uncles, grandparents, anybody? Nobody? Detectives, police officers? How good? Your mother? Okay. Can we take it somewhere? Would you like me to meet you, or you gonna come on up here? You got it. He got it. Okay, she said for me to talk to she get there, so I'm just gonna talk slow. Let's see. Yeah, she's there.
All right. Thank you all for coming out. I'm Rashida Muhammad. I am a professor at Governor State University, and I say that because I teach young people. I teach freshman composition all the way up to graduate students earning their doctorate degree. So I deal with young people daily, on a daily basis, and which is one reason, even though my kids keep insisting, I haven't retired. But I wanted to say Rodney was my grandson. We were very, very close. We had all kinds of conversations. Rodney was an intellectual. I remember we talked about religion, we talked about philosophy, we talked about voting, we talked about elections, but I gotta tell you, some of our favorite conversations concern sports. And they would get into the debate, and we'd talk about, if they had did this, if they had done that, they would have won. If they had did this, if they had done that. And then if he got into the debate with his brother, Robert, he'd say, well, go ask Grandma, she knows. And they were always bragging about the fact that they had a grandmother who knew about sports. But I had to say that kind of intellectual, I was just really proud that we could talk cross generations. You know, that's really significant, and that's one of the things that we need to all do. Get to those young people, you know, get to the old people. Don't leave us out. We can talk.
Right.
And once we get together and start talking, change can happen.
That's right.
You know, one of the things Angela Davis said, and she said, I'm not about accepting the things that I can't change. I'm about changing the things I can't accept.
All right.
And that's what we need to be about, changing the things that we can't accept. And let's get on the case and get busy. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Change the things that we cannot accept. Got that? You got it? Okay. Anybody? I told you was coming. Come on. Sir. No, you won't. Yeah, no, you ain't got nothing to say? You sure? You positive? Sean, you got anything to say? Sheree? Okay. Anybody? The baby? Somebody? Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. To my mothers, you would like to say something? Come on.
Good afternoon. I am the uncle of Rodney Armstrong. A year ago tomorrow will be the day we said goodbye to his physical body. As an uncle, you find yourself outside of the box watching kids grow. You try to put your tidbits in here and there as they grow up. Especially when you have an amazing mother. Makes it a little bit easier to be an uncle when you have an amazing mother. Yet she does a great job. You see a child come home from a hospital as a baby. This is a continuation of a legacy that your sister, that bond that you have with your sister, decided to bring into this world. That's a bond that's never going to be changed, deformed, twisted, nothing. As a child grows up, you see all these things going on, and he goes from first grade to second grade to third grade. He learns to play football, he learns to sing, he learns to rap, he learns to do lyrics, he learns to talk for himself. A lot of times, we get caught up in the bigger things and not the smaller things in life. And that bond that you have with your sister that has raised this child to be a young man, to speak for himself, to carry on for himself, to stand for himself, is something that can be damaged dramatically by a tragic event, but strengthened over time as well. It takes upon yourself to step up to that plate, to be able to be there to hug somebody, pick up that phone, and I remember actually the day he was actually born, and I remember every step I took as I carried him to his gravesite. pain that I feel is only magnified when I think about the pain my sister's going through. And when your sister or your brother, your blood sister has that bond has been damaged so bad by a tragic incident that you can't change. You have nothing to do about this. You can't do nothing about it but sit there and see her in pain. As an uncle, you step outside the box. From outside the box, you watch. You only just put your tidbits in as much as you can. But you see those tidbits magnified to make this man a better, stronger person. And to see him gone at an early age over something that none of us had control over. Shows that there's more work that needs to be done in this world. And it shows that no matter how much you do for your child, your niece, your nephews, no matter how much positivity you put into your life, negative things can happen. And through that darkness, though, still that light will shine. Somehow, some way, we just don't know, but it does. I mean, that's all I gotta say.
Thank you so much for sharing. Would you like to speak, sir?
Yeah, I am the grandfather of Rodney, and I don't have a whole lot to say. The main thing is that, to put things in perspective, I'm from the Chicago area. July 4th, they had over 100-some shootings. And there's a lot of gangs all over the place, all different types of names of gangs. You know, I know their names, you know. Here's the situation. In my scriptures, it says that we're created into nations and tribes that you may know each other, not that you may despise each other. Verily, the most honorable of you in the sight of God is he who is the most upright. What it comes down to is nations and tribes come together, and you know the police force was the community. Here's the problem in Chicago, is that you got all these gangbangers. Now, everybody have different situations here, so I have to do the general. You got all these gangbangers, and this is always, you know, around the United States and wherever like that. The problem is that the mother, the father, the cousin, the grandfather, they know what's going on. They know who's selling drugs. They know who's shooting people. And they won't come forward and erase the problem. It is a family affair. And so, if we don't do what we got to do, then obviously you got to go to where, you know, call the police force in and let them deal with it. But we got to solve our own problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else? Anybody else? Come on up.
Hello, my name is Jessica. I'm here to support my sisters, Rafia and Sonia. They came to me through my organization, Serving Souls, which is an organization, like you said, it's about cultivating community. So I highly, highly encourage y'all to love each other. That's something I've told Rafia multiple times, is like, hopefully these women can feel the love in the organization. But it really does cure a lot. And so it's through love, it's through that I've been able to meet these women, then they were able to meet each other. Then I've been able to support them in their endeavors. They've been able to support me. It's really that simple. We literally have nothing to lose. Loving someone is the easiest thing you can do. It really is. It's free, you know what I'm saying? And so if we can love each other, there is no space for envy, for jealousy, for hate, for violence. Those things are replaced by love. You know, love conquers all things, you know, and with an abundance of love, an abundance of joy, an abundance of peace, this world could truly be a better place. It breaks my heart to see everything these women are going through. It really does. You know, I'm 28, I don't have any children, but I feel like an old woman because I tend to take people in. I tend to love on people. I tend to do a lot of community engagement types of things. So even though I'm 28, I feel like I have a bunch of children that are almost twice my age sometimes because I just want to love people. And through love, you know, my organization has been able to meet up with other organizations and we've been able to do amazing things. So take that with y'all today. Just love people. It's really that simple.
Okay, I got one more thing to say. To all my mothers, just keep in mind, there's no time limit on grieving. Everything is in your time, period. If you see somebody you think is doing good, I'm gonna tell you it's probably a shell that we all wear, okay? To everybody out there who knows someone who lost a child, especially, but a loved one, period, don't forget about them. Continue to check on them, right? When y'all was coming with the chicken and stuff, when we put our child in the ground, nobody calls to see if we ate. And 9 times out of 10, we ate. We forget. I have to remind myself and I have to think back, did you eat? Still check on us. We need that. Tina, Trina.
Well, we thank y'all for coming out, but we did want to ask the media if there was anything that you wanted to add to it or any questions that you'd like to ask in the individual. You good? Detective? No?
I want to thank Rutherford County Police Department for coming. Thank you. We appreciate it. It's good to see you. You must be a detective. That's a nice suit. Cool. Thank you, Ms. Detective, for coming. Thank you, everybody. I'm in a social club. I asked one of my MCs, motorcycle club, to come and assist. Sean Fraser of Nashville Dirty Boys came to assist. I want to say thank you. Anthony, thank you. Media, everybody, thank you. Anybody have anything else? Raphael.
I guess we're going to close it.
Pastor Simon, would you say prayer?
Let us join hands together, hand to hand and heart to heart. Dear Lord, as we come today in the midst of what these mothers are going through, Lord, we ask you to be with them every step of the way. Bless them in their time of need. Reach out to them when they're hurting. And let them know that everything works for the good of those that love the Lord, which are called according to your purpose. And they have been called to do your will here on earth. And we ask you to bless every parent here, every mother here who have experienced this kind of tragedy in their life. Let them know that you are still there. You're able to lift a bowed down head and bring ease to a troubled mind when they're lonely and uncomfortable in their situation. Let them know that you'll be there at their beck and call. God, go with us, watch over us, and keep them strong and firm in the belief that everything is going to be all right if they keep trusting and believing in you. We ask the prayer in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
We also want to give thanks to Carrie Marable and Pastor Jerry Marable, who extended in the event that the weather was forbearing. So, thank you.
Larry Flowers, I don't see him. Oh, okay. I'd like to give acknowledgement for the support he's given us in promoting this event for the last week or so. So If somebody can pass the message on to Larry to let him know that we thank him very much for supporting us with the event, and thank you all for coming out. And and thank you WGNS for promoting us and leading up into this event. Thank you all for coming out. Good night.